everybody, this is Lindy with Huckleberry Mountain Botanicals. I'm just going to get us set up on the prepared homestead really quickly. Let's see. Today I am covering for my mom, so we don't have the expert here, but I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I've learned through kind of being an apprentice, but also a student of my mom's school. So we're going to continue our conversation about self-heal. If you didn't catch yesterday's live, I'm just going to give a little overview. Self-heal is actually in the Lamiaceae family, which is the mint family, which is odd because it really doesn't have much of a flavor or aroma, and pretty much every single plant that I can think of in the Lamiaceae family has a very strong flavor. Think about things like mint, or catnip, or catmint, or even I think rosemary and things like that. And they have a very, very strong scent. Hi, Shamra. Hi, Mom. Okay, so what I'm going to be showing you today is something that, even though I'm not an expert yet, I have really, really enjoyed doing as kind of an introductory herbal student. I'm going to show you how to make an oil infusion of self-heal, as well as how to dry it so that you can get to the point where you can make a dried oil infusion. So I'll probably start out with making the oil. It's pretty simple. It is 15 grams of dried herb to 10 ounces of oil, and I'm using olive oil. So I've got the dried herb here, which you really have to make sure that it is completely dry. When you like crush it with your hand, it should just crumble, the stems should snap, it should not be bendy or flexible. You have to make sure that all of that moisture is completely out of the plant material so that you don't have water that is compromising your oil, and it's gonna make it go rancid much, much faster. So this is super, super simple. I'm gonna have 15 grams of herb, which it's already measured out, but that's why you really need a kitchen scale. Let's see if I can find ours. You need a kitchen scale that goes down to grams if you're gonna wanna make preparations and be more accurate. If you're using the folk method, I would still recommend that you use it, just because you can get so accurate, and sometimes you need measurements that are smaller than an ounce. So I would highly recommend this. You know, maybe order one online. They have everything on Amazon now if you can't find one in a store near you. So I forgot a measuring cup. I'll be back in just a second. So 15 grams of herbs, and that's 10 ounces of oil. So I'm going to measure out my 10 ounces. Oh, wait, I might want to open it. Hi, Dad. Hi, Mark. 1 second. Okay, there we go. So measuring out 10 ounces. This is pouring very slowly. We'll get there eventually. I already have the herb kind of ground up just so that it's ready to go, and you're not having to blend it with the oil a ton before it gets mixed. So I would recommend doing that. Just give it a little, you know. So I'm going to put this 10 ounces of oil in there. And I apologize for this next part because it's going to get super loud, but I'm going to blend until it gets warm. And then once it gets warm, blend for another 30 seconds. That heat is really going to start breaking down the plant material and help it infuse faster. And then I'll show you what we do next, which we'll get to that in just a minute. So maybe I should mute the microphone. I don't know. Be warned. Okay. now getting warm, so I'm gonna do it for another 30 seconds. I apologize. It does, yeah. Yeah, it is beautiful. It's like a rich, rich green, which, I mean, you could interpret that as how Mom likes to say it, baby diarrhea. Or you could see the beautiful plant material infusing into the oil, creating a healing effect. Anyway, okay, so another 30 seconds now that it's getting warm. Sorry, that's our dog barking. All right, yes, it is actually a really cool way to heat your mix. I know, I didn't think about it until Mom told me, like, excuse the dog, until she's like, well, you just blend and it makes sense all of a sudden. Okay, so next, just trying to ignore the dog. You want to pour it into a jar. Now, you want to try to get a jar as close to the size, like the amount that you have. So I think this is an 8 ounce, and we've got 10 ounces in here. So I'm just going to be using this jar for now, and you can always transfer. Make sure that the jar is very clean, that it's sterile, and that it is 100% dry. Because again, you don't want water to compromise the oil, and it's going to make it go rancid faster. So that's also why, you know, it's preferable to have a jar that fits it perfectly, just because the less exposure to air and things like that, the better. But yeah, it'll be fine in this. What you want to do next is put this, here's a couple of ideas. You can put this jar into a crock pot if and only if, first of all, hi Kana, you have one that's a lot more temperature controlled. I know that some people will put it on warm and turn it on and off and on and off to kind of regulate the temperature. You could just get one that has more of those options. I think Mom was mentioning that you can kind of like wire something in to try to, I don't know. I don't know about that. Google it, because the internet is always trustworthy. And you know, if that's something you want to do, you can use a crock pot on a very, very low temperature. You want it to preferably stay below 110 degrees at all times. I'd say that the preference for infusing oil is around 95 degrees, which brings us to our next thing, which is the dehydrator. We have used our dehydrator for everything from making yogurt to actually dehydrating things like herbs, making beef jerky or turkey jerky, to hatching out eggs, to infusing oil. It's ridiculous. We have an Excalibur, so you can take the shelves out, and it's basically an empty box that has really, really good temperature control, and it goes down very low all the way to 90, 95 degrees. So if you want to get a dehydrator, make sure, again, you have temperature control, because you don't want to be drying herbs anywhere above 110 degrees. You want to stay lower so that you're not damaging the herbs as you're trying to dry them. So that's another thing you can do, is stick it in your dehydrator and set it to 95 and leave it in there. I think it's for 24 hours. And then you can strain it and it will be ready. The fresh is kind of a different method, obviously, because you have to deal with it a little bit differently. But I'm not going to do that right now. But I will say, before you do anything, you need to wilt it. Preferably let it wilt. Oh yeah, dehydrators. Yeah, dehydrators are honestly, they're good for anything that you can dream up. Like if you just think of an idea, it can do it if you've got a good one. What kind of dehydrator do you have, Shamra? I'm curious. So with fresh, because water does compromise the oil and it might make it go rancid faster, You have to wilt it and let a little bit of the moisture evaporate. And then, again, I'm not supposed to be talking about this in this video, but when you're infusing it, first of all, you let it sit for 2 weeks. Honey, stop! Okay, for 2 weeks, and then also you have a cheesecloth over the opening so that any water that does come up can evaporate and it's not sitting in there ruining your oil. So anyway, we're probably going to cover that in a later video. Now I'm going to get into, one second, Excalibur! Yay! Fist bump! Over the internet. Yeah. Oh, another thing with the oil. Label, label, label. Always label. So, oh, here comes Hero. Oh dear. They are the best. All right, so again, label. Hero, can you turn that down? Turn it down. So I would put self-heal, which there's actually some other names for it, like heal all. I think it's called woundwort, the carpenter's herb, things like that. We just use self-heal. Oil. You could write down that you used olive oil, so whatever kind of oil. One second, I'll be right back.
That's not deep, Chip. Let's get back to the question.
I'm back. Okay, what kind of oil you used, and definitely put the date. And if you want to, put the date where you have to strain it. Well, I guess for dried, it's only 24 hours. So if you've forgotten by then you have bigger things to worry about. Start taking some sage. Okay, so you always want to put the date, and yeah, so let me do that. What is the date today? It's the 9th, right? Can't believe it's July already. All right, and we just use this like masking tape / freezer tape stuff. I mean, it's not complicated. Again, if you make herbalism into this thing where you have to have all the right equipment and the right setup and everything has to be perfect, then it's just never going to happen. And that's not the point of herbalism. All right, so we've got that labeled and we're going to set that aside. Now I'm going to show you a couple of ways. It's real life, real life. We got Hero, we got the dogs. It's crazy. All right, so couple of methods. A few, actually. Again, dehydrator, obviously. Make sure that it can go down to a low temperature. So preferably below 110 degrees. Here's one way of doing it, and this is if you want to hang it. An important thing to remember when drying, and you can take these principles and pretty much apply them to every single method of drying, is make sure that all plant material has access to airflow and stays out of direct sunlight. The sun will damage the plant. It's very, very harsh. So if you're going to be hanging, for example, you want to take small bunches, because if you take a giant bouquet of self-heal and you hang it, the outside is getting dry, and then on the inside, you're keeping in moisture, and you're going to get mold and sogginess and grossness, and that's not going to be fun. So you want to take small bunches, which you might be able to do a little bit bigger than this, but, you know, it may as well be safe. Another tip, pro tip, always use a rubber band, and here's why. If you use twine, then what happens when the moisture begins to leave the plant is there's no longer as much stuff there, so the plant shrinks. You have twine, it is stuck in the size that you tied it. A rubber band will tighten with the plants and will keep them up. Because we've come out to our dining room before, and you know, we had it hanging up all over the place, kind of like a witch's house. And then we come out in the morning and they're just boop, on the floor because the plants just slid right out the twine. You do rubber bands, it'll tighten with the plant and it'll stay secure. Once you get it on, which again, you do small bunches like this so that there's equal airflow all around, you can then use twine to attach this to whatever and hang it again in a place where there is airflow on both sides, on all sides, but no direct sunlight. That is very important. So that is method number 1, hanging. Method number 2, I guess dehydrator, obviously. Again, get an Excalibur. I cannot recommend it enough because it's got so much control with the temperature. You're able to move the shelves around. You're able to, take out shelves, whereas a lot of dehydrators are just layered. So you have to manually rotate and things. The Excalibur really, it is the perfect dehydrator, and I would highly recommend it. So, I don't have many instructions with that. I think just make sure when you're laying it out on the screen that it's in a single layer again, so all the plants can have airflow on all sides. And leave it until it is crispy and totally, totally dry. The next method, which is actually really fun, and you can do larger amounts of herbs with this, and it's not quite as labor intensive as tying little groups together, is you I just took this screen from the Excalibur as an example, but what we use is an old window screen. So we're talking like it's 4 or 5 feet long and 3 feet wide. So we can have things all over our tables. You can do it on chairs, like just set up chairs and have them all over the place if you have a room to dedicate to things like that. But here's another fun one, which let me point the camera down so you can see. This is what we do with our window screen. It's just bigger. I just can't show you an example because it's too big. But you put jars out so that it's elevated because, again, we want airflow on all sides of the plant. So you put it out like this so it's elevated, and then you take the self-heal and you just lay it out. That's it. You just lay it out and then you leave it until it's dry. And again, make sure it stays out of direct sunlight. So if you have that magic room, which we do, that has lots of airflow, but no direct sunlight, then set that up as your herb drying room. Like, just commit to it, you just got to commit. It's nice because our dining room has 2 openings. So it's like, imagine a square room, but it's got like a big wide opening here on this wall and a big wide opening over here on this wall. So there's lots of airflow, but because of where the windows are positioned with like the front porch and everything, there's no direct sunlight in there ever. So that has been set up as kind of our designated area where, again, 6 months out of the year, we kind of look like we're witches. It's actually kind of funny, but yeah, if you've got that spot, then just do it. So you want to do this again, don't layer up, because if you're layering, then you're blocking the airflow from touching the plant material. Always have that airflow. So I think that is it. Yeah, that's all I was planning on talking about. We're going to continue our discussion about self-heal or heal all or wound wart or whatever you want to call it tomorrow, and that's when Mom is going to be here. She's going to talk about the medicinal effects, and look at the description of this video because there's a lot of details. Another thing that I want to mention is August 1st, we are coming out with a course that we're very excited about. It's an herbal preparation series where you're going to be able to learn how to make things like infused oils, both fresh and dried, and tinctures and infusions, and I guess extractions and tinctures are the same thing, but all different preparations. One second. Oh, there we go. It smells amazing, okay? It really does, especially when we're drying things like lemon balm and mint. Then it just, everything flows. It is really nice. Anyway, so yeah, we are having, that's releasing on August 1st, but on July 28th, we're going to have a live event where you can win prizes and you can win coupons to our herbal preparations course, and you can get up to 25% off on that. And, we're going to be doing a live. We're going to be making preparations. We're going to have just prizes throughout the live that we do. And again, look at the description of this video because it's got all the information. And yeah, I think that's all for today. Thank you all for watching. I enjoyed talking to you. Thank you for always coming, Shamra. You're our faithful. One day you're gonna get the top fan badge. I've seen that thing on Facebook, where top fans get a badge. That should be you. I don't know why you haven't gotten it yet. But anyway, I have to stop the live. So join us tomorrow. Again, we're going to be talking about the medicinal side of self-heal and some more detail when Mom gets here. And we go live Monday through Thursday at 6:30 Pacific time. Is it Pacific Standard Time? I don't even know anymore. Anyway, so yeah, thank you all so much, and we will see you tomorrow. Health and joy.